This week I finished my 2 years at college, and those 2 years were really unique for me because of the choices I made right at the beginning. When I was finishing high school and looking at colleges, originally my plan was to go down the academic route, which would be to study English, IT, history, and then do film studies because it was my passion and I wanted to be a filmmaker. The problem with that is that 3/4 of the subjects I was taking were a backup plan, and only 1/4 of the subjects I was actually planning on taking were to be a filmmaker. And at the time everyone was saying, well, you never really know how the filmmaking thing's going to turn out, so you want to have something as a backup plan. And that's fair enough, but I think that the way to do that would be to do 3/4 of my A-levels as filmmaking and then 1/4 as a backup plan, not the other way around. If you think of that in terms of studying to be a doctor, that's the equivalent of doing biology and then studying sports science, art, and engineering. Doesn't really make any sense at all. Luckily for me, when I went into the college open day, they introduced me to a thing called creative media production, and you've probably heard those words on my channel before. It's a BTEC level 3 in creative media production, and what that means is it's essentially 3 A-levels. So instead of doing 3 A-levels, I get 1 big qualification, which is the same in terms of UCAS points as 3 A-levels. And that encompasses all areas doing media stuff, so we did short films, adverts, promotional videos, corporate videos, stop motion, music videos, all sorts basically. And as soon as I heard that, I thought, actually, this is what I need to be doing. And so I told the college that's what I wanted to do, and that's what I did. Quite soon after I started college, I realised that the course wasn't going to take up much of my time. The reason for that is that the first term was dedicated to learning how to do things like using the cameras, setting up tripods, basics of editing, and because of the experience I had, I already knew how to do all of those things. And on top of that, when we actually started making things, the assignments we were given were about 9 weeks long, and I was completing them all in about 4 days of work. So what this means is that I had over 8 weeks every time we had an assignment to just do whatever I want. I had free time and I could do whatever because my work was done. And in that situation, a lot of people would probably just kick their feet back and think, great, I don't have to do anything for another 8 weeks. But I knew that if I wasted my time for these 2 years, then I would get nowhere, and at the end of it, I wouldn't be in a position to go on and get a job. So I dedicated all of my free time for the last 2 years pretty much into filmmaking. When I finished the work for that assignment, I then take a lot of the next 8 weeks off to do my own thing, so YouTube videos and working as a freelance filmmaker basically. And that basically became the perfect opportunity to work on my show reel and my CV, which is one of the huge things that you need as a filmmaker. I started off just doing promotional videos here and there and doing a little bit of teaching in film schools for a local company. Early on the work was pretty slow and it was definitely just trickling in and wasn't very glamorous at all, but I was earning money doing something that I loved, so I was in a better place than I was when I started college. The pay wasn't fantastic, but I was gaining experience, which is the most important thing. One of our first assignments at college was to make a music video, and this is where things kind of changed for me. I got in contact with a friend of mine who has a band, and I said, I've heard your song that you just released on Facebook. I think it's really good. Are you interested in a free music video? I'm doing one for my college assignment, so it wouldn't cost you anything. You'd be helping me out, and you'd get a music video out of it. So they said yes, and I shot the music video with the band, and they were really, really happy with how it turned out, and they were very complimentary of the work, and they said that it was a lot better than they were expecting. And they were so happy with it, they asked me to do another one for them, and so I made another music video, and then one video turns into 3 videos and filming live gigs and all sorts. Whilst filming at those gigs for them, other people saw me and said, hey, do you film music videos? We need someone to make a music video. And that transpired into 5 or 6 other people that want work. And very quickly, word of mouth starts to spread and you start to rack up people just from making contacts. At this point, my portfolio was growing pretty quickly and I had the films and experience to show for it, so I could start to raise my prices a little bit as well when I was working as a freelancer. By the end of my first year at college, I'd made a half-an-hour documentary for the Suffolk District Council. I'd worked on an independent short film with a budget of £100,000, which is now listed on IMDb, and I'm credited as one of the visual effects artists. I'd made a few promotional videos for local companies and also started working quite regularly for a local production company. On top of those, I'd had a lot of time to dedicate to my own material like YouTube content and doing short films with my friends. As I said, I've now just finished my second year at college, and this year I've completed about 10 times as much work as I did last year. Through word of mouth, good marketing, and a bit of good luck, I'm pretty much booked full time for the next few months. And I even finished college a little bit early so that I could start working pretty much full time as a freelancer as well. I got back yesterday from 2 weeks teaching at a film school in Birmingham. This week coming, I'm working Monday, Thursday, Friday on some freelance work. And then on Sunday, a company's flying me up to Scotland to do some work for a big film project. I've got a couple of days in Scotland, and then I'm driving down with the crew to York and then also filming at the University of East Anglia. So for the next 3 weeks, I'm pretty much fully booked once I go to Scotland. I've also got a few weddings that I'm filming every month with a friend of mine. And on top of that, I'm waiting to hear back from the BBC about an apprenticeship working as a production assistant, which will be working full time in Birmingham. To bring this back to my original point, none of this would have happened if I hadn't made that original jump and committed all of my time to filmmaking. If I decided to study academic subjects instead, I'd probably be finishing now with some decent grades, but that wouldn't get me anywhere in terms of filmmaking. I would have been way too busy with coursework, homework and revision to have any time to dedicate to filmmaking and working on my portfolio, and I wouldn't have any of the enormous amount of experience that I've gained in the last 2 years. In filmmaking, your portfolio and CV are pretty much more important than the grades you get at college or university, so that is the main thing that you want to focus on, which is why I think I made the right decision. So I didn't actually learn a huge amount from my time at college, because when I was in there, I wasn't learning a huge amount because I was quite far ahead of everybody else. Obviously I learned some things, but the most valuable thing that college course gave me was lots and lots of free time. I wanted to make this video because almost everyone I know that took academic A-levels was complaining for the entire 2 years at college that it was difficult, that they were tired, and that they weren't enjoying their time there. These last 2 years for me have been the best 2 years of my life, and that's absolutely because of the choice I made to do that college course. The point I'm trying to make with this video is that if you have a creative career path that you intend to go into, you might want to consider dedicating all of your time to it instead of going for a backup plan. Personally, I don't have a single regret about the decision I made, and my life would be entirely different if I'd gone the other way. For me, the risk paid off and was completely worth taking, and for people in a similar position to me, I would consider doing the same thing.